I remind the House that this is the honourable member's first speech and that I ask the House to extend to her the usual courtesies. I call the member for Bendigo.
Madam Speaker, and I wish to congratulate you on your appointment to Speaker of the House of Representatives. I would like to start today by acknowledging the traditional owners on the land on which we meet and pay my respects to their elders, both past and present. I would also like to take this opportunity to acknowledge the traditional owners, the Dja Dja Wurrung people of my electorate, and pay my respects to their elders, both past and present. Madam Speaker, I'm the 16th person to be elected to represent the seat of Bendigo, a seat that has existed since Federation. I am also the first woman to be elected to represent the seat of Bendigo. In this election, we made some history. Being elected as a representative to the federal parliament is one of the highest honours one can receive from their community, and I am proud, honoured and excited to represent the people of Bendigo. Like many real locals, I love our part of the world and could not imagine wanting to live anywhere else. Bendigo is made up of a diverse collection of villages, from Newstead to Newbridge, beautiful towns like Woodend, Castlemaine, Heathcote and Kyneton, and the regional city of Bendigo. It is a vibrant region with a proud history and an exciting future. But yet, despite their diversity and unique characters, these villages, towns and cities have one thing in common, and that is community. Together as a community, we strive to make our region a better place to live and to work. Together we encourage our entrepreneurs. Together we take care of our most vulnerable. Together we celebrate our achievements and face our difficulties. Today I'm here to share not just some of my story, but the story of the people and the community I seek to represent. Let me start with the story of our local economy. Its strength is its diversity. Businesses located in Bendigo and our surrounding communities work hard to become experts, innovators in their field. Aided by the growth of Bendigo, our finance sector, led by the Bendigo Bank, continues to prosper. There are not too many postcodes around Australia that can boast a bank. The postcode for Bendigo, 3550, is one of them. The Bendigo electorate is home to a growing number of arts professionals. With the right mix of commercial, public and community investment, our cultural industry will continue to grow. My vision is for Bendigo and Central Victoria to become a hothouse for the arts and a robust cultural economy. Our education and health sectors continue to flourish, but also face many challenges. Bendigo aims to become a university city, something that I support and will work to achieve. Our Bendigo campus of the La Trobe University is thriving and quickly becoming a centre of excellence in health and allied health fields. The only missing jewel in the crown is a School of Medicine. A long-term vision for the Bendigo La Trobe campus is to one day have a medicine school within its rural School of Health, a vision I share. Across the electorate, there is a network of hospitals, GP super clinics, community health organisations and many care locals, working hard to keep our communities healthy. However, ageing infrastructure and a highly competitive funding model means that funding is a growing challenge. I believe that funding for our community health centres and small regional hospitals needs to be reviewed and increased if we are to meet the primary needs of our region going forward. Madam Speaker, local manufacturing is a story, a good news story, that I wish to share with the House. Not afraid of innovation, a number of Bendigo manufacturers, such as Australian Turntables, Industry Conveyancing Australia, Keach Castings and Hoffman's Engineering, are world leaders in their fields, exporting to countries all over the world. But these manufacturers tell me it's not red tape that is holding back their growth of their businesses, but ideological-driven principles by governments creating roadblocks, hindering their growth. Take the story of Hoffman's Engineering. one of the world's largest manufacturers in gears in gearboxes. They are currently rebuilding wind turbines for Germany in order to improve their energy efficiency. So these turbines are sent from Germany to Bendigo, rebuilt and then sent back to Bendigo. Why? Because Hoffmans are the best in their field. If Hoffmans wanted to supply the Victorian wind energy generation market with the same, it would struggle. And that's because the state Liberal National Coalition government has effectively banned the construction of new wind farms in the state of Victoria. The government is creating roadblocks and stopping the expansion of industry and preventing job growth in regional Victoria. One can only wonder the effects of today's discussions and debates in the House will have on the wind and solar energy in central Victoria. Madam Speaker, I mentioned earlier today that I'm the first woman elected to represent the seat of Bendigo in the federal parliament. Electing women is not something new to Bendigo folk, in that Jacinta Allen is the state member for Bendigo East, Marie Edwards is the state member for Bendigo West, and Jo Duncan is the state member for Macedon. I'm proud to be part of a Labor movement that values the contribution of men and women and what we can make to public life by pre-selecting, then working really hard to ensure that progressive candidates are elected. In our first week in Parliament, some have suggested that they were promoted on merit. Yet there is only one woman on the front bench, and there's only a handful of their new members that are women. Is the Coalition suggesting then that there are only a few women with merit within their party and caucus room to pre-select and appoint from? Madam Speaker, I find this hard to believe that this is the case, and perhaps some in this parliament are still wearing gendered lenses. From Parliament to the boardroom to communities, here and overseas, there is still a lot of work to be done to advance the status of women everywhere. I'm a member of the Zonta Club of Bendigo, working hard to do exactly this, locally and globally. Madam Speaker, allow me to share the story, with their permission, of our local Aboriginal people, the Dja Dja Wurrung people. Last Friday, in the Bendigo Roslyn Park, the state of Victoria returned the lands to the traditional owners of the Dja Dja Wurrung people. It was a powerful ceremony, and as a handful of land was transferred from the governor's hands to the hands of the Dja Dja Wurrung people, a new relationship was formed. Finally, our community in central Victoria had also put right this moral wrong. The Mabo case allowed the federal government, led by Paul Keating, to enable our nation to put right a moral wrong. And at the time, Paul Keating said, "We give the Indigenous people of Australia at last the standing that they are owed as the original occupants of this continent." Today, strong leadership is needed if this parliament is to facilitate constitutional recognition of our first Australians. After Mabo, native title and the apology, it is now time for constitutional recognition. And without strong leadership, constitutional change will not happen. But it must. It is the next step on the journey towards reconciliation. Madam Speaker, I also wish to share the story of the Tooten Monster meeting. As you know, Tooten is part of the Bendigo electorate and has a place in our democratic history. In 1852, 15,000 gold diggers gathered in protest over the gold licence. Diggers met under their new flag, a bundle of sticks tied together to symbolise their united strength, a pick and a shovel to symbolise their labour, the scales of justice, and a kangaroo and emu, two animals that cannot actually take a step backwards. This is the first such public protest in Australia and the first step towards democracy. That is right, I'm claiming democracy started in Bendigo. Every year, historians, enthusiasts and local Tooten locals reenact the monster meeting. Last year I played the role of Mr Potts. But remember that the union is strength, that though a single twig may be bent or broken, a bundle of them tied together yield not nor break. The union is strength. As early as 1852, workers in Bendigo acknowledged that their strength lied within the union. May I also share the story of John Arthur, who was the third federal member for Bendigo. Prior to entering Parliament, John Arthur was a representative of the agricultural implement makers and union in the harvester dispute before Justice Higgins in the Commonwealth Court of Conciliation and Arbitration. In 1907, Justice Higgins handed down the harvester judgment, which provided the basis for setting the minimum wage in Australia until the 1990s. The legal requirement for the basic wage was that it must be enough to support a wage earner and their family in reasonable and frugal comfort. There are some in this chamber and in the Senate that would say what was good for working Australians in the early 1900s is not good for working Australians today. Some go as far to say that people should have the option for working for less than the minimum wage if it means getting a job. These people are wrong. In fact, today's minimum wage is too low and forcing too many low-paid workers and their families into poverty. Before those on the other side scream, perhaps it's because they're living beyond their means and are overextended. Let me share another story. Jackie Petts, a full-time cleaner that works hard cleaning a shopping centre. Jackie does not live in the biggest house or the most expensive part in town. She is a modest and humble person who always likes to remind me of where my place is. By the time Jackie has paid her car, her mortgage and her bills, there is very little left to live in modest comfort. How fair has our society become if working people cannot afford to pay their bills? It is only reasonable for these hard-working people to expect our economy to deliver them a living wage and secure jobs that they can count on. Madam Speaker, a secure job is fast becoming the dream of many workers. I acknowledge today Marie-Anne Grilly, who is in the gallery, who worked last night, is here today and will return home tonight to work her shift. I thank you, Marie, for making the effort to be here with me today. But Marie's story is one of the best examples that I have to highlight the unfairness of insecure work. Marie and I first met in 2006. Granted, I had to visit her at her home, but catching Marie at home was a challenge. Marie works 2 part-time jobs to make a full-time job. She is up at 2:30 to start work at 4 a.m, finishes job 1 at 8 a.m. and returns home, leaves for job 2 at 3 p.m. and starts work at 4 p.m, is finished by 8 p.m. and returned home just after 9 p.m, only to be up and do it all over again at 2 p.m. Marie has not had a decent sleep in decades. This arrangement is not secure work that she nor others can count on. Leadership and action is needed. Government, industries, workers and their unions need to continue to come together to build secure employment and jobs that we can count on. I've dedicated most of my working life to standing up for working people, their families, initially by working for the union movement and now as a Member of Parliament. I'm a proud United Voice member. I come from a working family with working class values and a healthy respect for hard work. I'm the daughter of Labor people. I remember Paul Keating and Labor's 1993 True Believers victory. That night in my family home was a bit like Christmas. There was joy and champagne. No matter where we are in the world, phone calls in my family are received on birthdays, Christmas, Easter and election nights. Politics is integral to our lives. Whilst Labor values were installed at an early age, most of my childhood my parents were self-employed. After struggling to pay the mortgage and support a young family, they took the chance and bought a small business. Like many small business owners, essentially they bought themselves a job. Working long hours was just a fact of life. I spent many Saturdays and summer holidays helping my family until I got my first job. The excitement to work for somebody else. The story is not uncommon in the Bendigo electorate, where many small business owners are not owners by choice, but because they have bought themselves a job rather than face unemployment. Today, the explosion of ABN workers and sole traders is further evidence of this. Cleaners, security guards, call centres, even our posties are often being told if you want a job, get an ABN and we'll contract you. So our low-paid employees of the past are quickly becoming our low-paid contractors with no jobs, work cover, superannuation or leave entitlements today. I believe that it is the role of government to reduce the number of employees being forced to become contractors instead of working for a boss. Madam Speaker, my family values education. I was the first in my family to enrol to go to university, followed by my two sisters and my mother. At the age of 43, my mother returned to study, completing her undergrad, then her honours, then her PhD, and today is an academic at the University of Canberra. To me, she embodies the Labor passion for education and that it is an opportunity for lifelong learning. Education is the key that opens the door to opportunity, access to all, regardless of income and location. Public education has served our nation well. We are a rich nation that can afford to educate all our people. I give a Gonski and will continue to advocate strongly for a public education system. In conclusion, Madam Speaker, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge and thank the many people who have supported and encouraged me along the way. First, to the Bendigo electorate team. To Sean, Jackie, Ellie, Fabian, thank you. Together as a team we will serve the people of our electorate well and work hard together to make a difference. I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank my predecessor, Steve Gibbons, and his wife, Diane, and acknowledge a happy, long and healthy retirement. And I'm sure many hours will be spent restoring his one love, true love, of his cars. For many years I worked for a great team at United Voice, representing very proud and strong members. To Jess, Ben, Marie, to Kath, Gabe and Ange, to the union executive and council members and all my mates, I say thank you for your friendship, your encouragement and your support. To the other unions, the CFMEU, the RTBU, the NUW, the AMF, the ASU, the AW, the ETU and the AU, who pitched in and helped along the way, thank you. To the troublemakers in the gallery, thank you. To all the volunteers, to the Labor Party branch members and the community members who door-knocked, letterboxed, made phone calls, manned street stalls and market stalls and ensured that I was their +1 at every community event. Thank you. Finally, I'd like to acknowledge and thank my family who are here today, my mother Jenny, my sisters Deborah and Ange, and my partner Matt. In conclusion, Madam Speaker, my union's name is also my motto, United Voice. I say united, you say voice. I say united, you say voice. Thank you.
I call